Hello guys, Void here. Just wanted to start a new series, and what I want to do is sort of give my advice on specific cards, especially cards that come out in newer sets. Ixalan has been out for over a month now, but I feel like we are still in the situation where people are still curious about what cards are going to work out well in this format. Now, one card just stands out to me above all others, and that is Revel in Riches. The 5-mana enchantment. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, create a colorless treasure artifact token with tap it, sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, and at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 10 or more treasures, you win the game. Now, for the most part, people are going to be distracted by the last part where you win the game at the beginning of your upkeep. That is a huge incentive to play this card. However, it shouldn't be the only one. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, there are a ton of cards that synergize with sacrificing creatures. When we look at a card like Ashnod's Altar, there are a ton of combos associated with it. And yes, a lot of these combos are going to win the game on the spot, so what's the point in having pretty much infinite mana from Revel in Riches if they're just going to win the game right there? Well, so you can then use that mana for responses, you can use that mana for whatever you need to go. Maybe you have a response and you can go infinite right there. It's not going to completely stop every single combo, but it is a way to deal with some of the best commanders in the format. One of the long-time commander options that we've had in Gave Guru of Spores synergizes with sacrificing creature tokens to get +1/+1 counters. Proch Sky Raider of Care synergizes with sacrificing tokens, either to give a huge power boost or to trigger other things such as Grave Pact effects, which only fuel the strengths of this card. And then we have Teysa Orzhov Sign, which is all about sacrificing white creatures to exile other creatures. Just a fantastic card there as well. So we have a ton of different sacrifice synergies, but of course the one that this is going to fit into the best is going to be the artifact-based deck. We of course have Breya, Ethereum Shaper, Sharum the Hegemon to choose from. We also have Sidri, Galvanic Genius, and I doubt there's ever going to be a time when artifacts are not going to be a popular option in this format. So being the fact that those artifact decks synergize well with artifacts, this is an auto-include in a lot of those decks. Right off the bat, it gives you fuel for Breya. You can use that mana, sacrifice some more treasures, and use one of her abilities. It's incredible. I can already imagine all the combos just with that first ability of killing your opponent's creatures and getting a token that you can then sacrifice for mana. But also the main reason, honestly, the main reason why I think this card is going to be a powerful card for the future is the fact that board wipes, they see the most play in this format by far because there's just such a huge variety to choose from. We have Blasphemous Act. For all intents and purposes, it's going to be a 1-mana board wipe for just about every single creature. We have your typical Wrath of God, Damnation, Day of Judgment. We have Austere Command. We have a ton of these board wipe effects. Even something like a Toxic Deluge that doesn't really destroy creatures. It's whenever those creatures die. So you get those little treasure artifact tokens whenever those creatures die. So if you have a way to board wipe, this is likely going to win you the game on your next upkeep if you don't have a way to deal with it right there. So obviously I'm going to bring up the synergies that I've seen play a lot in Standard lately, and that is Marionette Master. And we also have Spell Swindle, which is basically a mana drain that instead of just giving you generic mana, it gives you the little tokens there that you can sacrifice for any color mana, which I honestly think in Commander it might be a little bit better than Mana Drain. But Marionette Master is very similar to another card, which is Disciple of the Vault. They work pretty much the same, and if you get a ton of these little treasure tokens out there, they're pretty much going to win you the game. Marionette Master is a little bit better though because you can just make her power 4. So each time you sacrifice a treasure, you're just going to deal 4 damage to an opponent and then just likely win the game right there because 4 damage versus 1 from Disciple of the Vault is likely going to get the job done a little bit quicker. But yeah, I just see a ton of potential, not just with Standard. I know it sees some play in Standard now with those decks, especially the upkeep trigger is a lot more possible in that format. I feel like in Commander, in a multiplayer format, people, they get wise to it and they understand, hey, this is a problem. We should manage the amount of treasure tokens that they have, make sure that they can't win their upkeep. So if we don't have removal for enchantments, at least we can try to make them spend their treasures. So it's really just a collective effort from your opponents to try to get rid of this card. So I don't really think it's a good idea just to rely on this card as a win con, especially the last bit of text there with the upkeep trigger. But I definitely think it's a card just for the synergy of killing your opponent's creatures and getting mana for it. I think it is a spectacular card. Now, if we look at the price on TCG Player, Just for a reference here, it's very cheap. It's under $1. You can get it around 77, 80 cents. Under $1 for non-foil. For a foil, you get it for around $4, maybe $5, depending where you get it from. And I think that is spectacular that you can pick a foil up, because we've seen a lot of these cards kind of just shoot up in price. I'm not going to say it's a doubling season type of card where it's just going to be super expensive for a long time, but I could definitely see this in a lot of similar decks where doubling season also sees play. And it's very flexible, just like doubling season, but this card is very powerful, and I expect it to see a ton of play. Would I say it's an auto-include into every single black deck? No, but if you're playing mono black control, there's no point in not considering this card, because you're all about killing creatures anyway in mono black. Might as well just get mana for doing it. Even if it's not for the upkeep win trigger, you're definitely just going to get it for the extra mana. But anyway, those are my 2 cents on this card. I absolutely love it. I think a lot of people love it too, and it should see a lot more play than what it does right now. And I hope to continue this series. I want to sort of shed some light on a lot of cards that I think are Commander playable, cards that I think that you guys should pick up. Maybe pick it up in bulk, get a ton of these. They're pretty dirt cheap. Can't go wrong. If you can pick up something for under $1, pick up multiple of them, you don't really stand to lose a lot of money, because I can only see this card going up in value. But anyway, you guys have a wonderful day. Void here signing off.